My name is Odessa Cole. I am 56 years old. I am a black woman from a quiet town just outside Atlanta, Georgia. I spent most of my life working double shifts in a nursing home, washing other people's mothers, changing sheets, holding hands as they took their last breath. I am a widow. My husband, Elias, died 10 years ago from a heart attack on his way home from work. I have one son. His name is Dalen. He is 32 years old, a pilot for a regional airline. He was the first in our family to wear a uniform that did not smell like sweat or bleach. When he walks through the airport in his sharp jacket and hat, people look at him with respect. Right now, I am on medical leave. I had knee surgery not long ago, and stairs feel like mountains. I live in a small rented house, with old brown carpet and a front porch that leans a little to the left. Before I go on, let me talk to you, the one listening to my story. If you enjoy emotional and powerful stories like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button on this channel. Like this video so more people can find it, and write in the comments where you are watching from. Are you in the South, the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest? Tell me your state, so I know you are here with me as I tell this. That night, the night everything changed, I was sitting on my living room couch with my leg propped up on two old pillows. The television was on low. Some game show flashed colors against the walls, but I was not really watching. In the back bedroom, my 6-year-old granddaughter, Amaya, was supposed to be sleeping. She had on her unicorn pajamas and had asked if she could sleep in the room next to mine. My daughter-in-law, Zaria, had said she would stay with us that week. You should not be alone after surgery, she had told me earlier that day, smiling with glossy lips and long lashes. I will put Amaya to bed and sleep in the guest room. But she had also gone quiet when we talked about money and my future. We cannot keep doing this, she had told my son when she thought I was not listening. We are drowning. Maybe it is time to think about a home for her. Somewhere with nurses. We have lives too. Those words had sat heavy in my chest all afternoon. A home for her. I tried to push the thought away by counting the little blessings in my house. The picture of my son in his pilot uniform on the wall. The sound of my old refrigerator humming. The smell of lemon cleaner on the table where I had wiped away crumbs. My phone lay on the coffee table beside my cup of tea. The special ringtone I used for my son was the sound of a jet taking off. It always made me smile. Normally, he called me before a flight or after he landed. Never during. That is why, when the jet sound suddenly burst from my phone in the middle of the night, my heart jumped. Who on earth is calling me at this hour? I muttered, reaching for it. The screen showed his name. Dalen. I pressed answer and brought it to my ear. Baby, what is wrong? I asked. The fear in my own voice surprised me. There was noise in the background. Voices. A low announcement. It sounded like an airport or a plane. Mama. His voice was tight and fast. Tell me you are at home. Tell me you are in the house. I frowned, sitting up straighter. Of course I am at home. Where else would I be? I said. Are you alone? His breathing was heavy. Is somebody there with you? I looked around the small living room. The lamp beside me threw a yellow circle on the carpet. The hallway was dark and quiet. Amaya is here, sleeping in the back room, I said. Zaria is here too. She should be in the guest room. There was a long pause. For a moment, all I could hear was the low hum of engines on his end. Mama, he whispered, she is not in your house. I laughed a little, trying to calm myself. Boy, what are you talking about? She was just here. She made grilled cheese for Amaya and fussed at me for getting up without my walker. Mama, listen to me, he said, his voice suddenly sharp. I am on a flight to Los Angeles right now. We took off not long ago. The cabin door is closed. So I checked the passenger list. He swallowed. And then I walked through the cabin. So what? I asked, my chest tightening. He let out a shaky breath. Zaria is on my flight. For a second, I thought I had heard him wrong. The room seemed to tilt. That is not funny, I said. Stop playing. I am not playing, Mama. I saw her with my own eyes, sitting in seat 17B. She has her hair in that long braid she wears on Sundays. She is wearing the blue jacket I bought her last Christmas. My mind raced. Maybe it was someone who looked like her. Maybe he was tired. Maybe this was some kind of mistake. Why would she be on your flight? I whispered. She told me she was staying here tonight. I know what she told you, he said. She told me the same thing. She said she would stay with you and put Amaya to bed. She said she would bring you soup and make sure you take your pills. I pushed myself up from the couch, my knee screaming with pain. The room swayed, but I grabbed the arm of the chair to steady myself. Maybe she went to the store. Maybe she will be right back, I said, my throat dry. Mama, it is after 10 at night in Atlanta, he said quietly. And she did not just go to the store. She had a carry-on bag with her. A big one. She checked another bag too. My heart started to pound so hard I could feel it in my ears. And that is not all, he added. I hobbled toward the hallway, holding the phone to my ear. Every step felt like fire in my knee. I called out her name. Zaria. No answer. The guest room door was slightly open. I pushed it with my fingers. The bed was neatly made. No open suitcase. No shoes on the floor. No phone on the nightstand. The room smelled like cleaning spray and nothing else. What else, Daylen? I asked, my voice trembling. There was another long pause on the line. I could hear him moving, maybe standing back in the aisle, trying to talk low. You remember what we argued about last week, he said. Of course I remembered. He had come over after work, still in his uniform, and sat at my kitchen table. Mama, we cannot keep paying for everything, he had said while Zaria stared at her phone. Your rent, your medicine, the groceries. I am trying, but the bills are piling up. I will get back to work after my knee heals, I had answered. I will pick up shifts again. Zaria had rolled her eyes. Or we could look at other options, she had said. There are good communities now. Senior places with nurses and games and all that. You would not be alone. I had felt like a problem to be moved instead of a person they loved. I remember, I whispered now. On this passenger list, he said slowly, Zaria used a different contact number. Not mine. Not yours. Another one. And when I walked by her, she did not see me right away. She was laughing with some man I have never seen. My stomach twisted. Maybe it is a work trip, I said, even as the excuse felt weak in my mouth. Maybe she got called in last minute. Mama, he said. She was not wearing her work badge. And, he stopped again, and I could hear the shake in his voice. And what I pushed, limping down the hallway toward Amaya's room. She is not alone, he whispered. I swallowed. What do you mean? He took a breath like it hurt. Amaya is with her. The world went silent. Even the sound of the old refrigerator seemed to fall away. That is impossible, I said. She is in the next room. I tucked her in myself. On my end of the call, I could hear a child's laugh in the distance. High and bright, floating through the phone. It sounded so close, like my granddaughter was just in the next room watching cartoons. Mama, he said, his voice breaking. I know my own child. She is sitting right next to Zaria. I can see her little white sneakers swinging off the seat. I can see the purple hair ties in her braids. My hand began to shake so hard I almost dropped the phone. Without thinking, I moved faster than my knee wanted me to. I limped down the hallway, each step a jolt of pain. I reached Amaya's door and grabbed the knob with sweaty fingers. Please be here, baby. I whispered under my breath. Please be here and let all this be some kind of crazy mistake. I flung the door open. The room was dark, but the night light in the corner glowed soft and blue, casting shadows of stars on the wall. The small bed with the unicorn blanket sat against the far side. It was empty. The blanket was pulled back, the pillow still indented where a small head had once rested. The window was closed, but the thin curtain fluttered like someone had moved it not long ago. My phone slipped a little in my hand. "Mama, what do you see?" he asked. I stared at the empty bed, my heart beating so loud it hurt. There was no child. No soft snoring. No little girl hugging her stuffed bear. My granddaughter was gone. For a moment, I truly could not breathe. I stood in that doorway, staring at the empty bed like it was a hole in the world. The little unicorn blanket looked too neat, too perfect, like someone had straightened it on purpose. My hand pressed against my chest. My heart was beating fast, but it felt weak too, like it was folding under its own weight. I brought the phone back to my ear. "Daylen. She is not here." I heard him suck in a breath so sharp it crackled over the phone. "Mama, lock the doors right now. Do it now." I turned around, my knee screaming as I moved back down the hallway. I shut the front door, slid the chain, and clicked the deadbolt. My hands shook, but I forced myself to check the back door too. Then I leaned against the wall, trying to steady my breathing. My son kept talking. "Mama. Listen. I need you to sit somewhere safe. Stay on the line with me. I have to report this to the ground team as soon as we land." His voice kept glitching in and out. Airplane connection. I could hear the echo of passengers talking and a flight attendant reminding people to fasten their seat belts. Everything felt unreal. Like I was watching it happen to someone else. "Why would she do this?" I whispered. "Why would she take my granddaughter and lie to me?" "I do not know, Mama," he said. "But something is wrong. Something is very wrong." I held my forehead with my free hand and closed my eyes. "We need to call the police," I said. "Right now." "Yes. As soon as I land, I will go straight to the desk. But you should do the same right now." I started limping toward the phone on the kitchen wall, but stopped when I heard a soft noise. A small click. From the hallway. Like a door closing in the back of the house. I froze. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. "Hear what, Mama? Do not move." I swallowed hard and forced myself to turn. The hallway was dark. Too dark. That is when it hit me. If Zoria had taken Amaya on a plane, then who had been in this house? Who cooked in my kitchen? Who walked down this hallway? Who told me good night? Because I knew one thing. The person who had stood in this house earlier was not the same woman my son saw on that plane. The hairs on my arms stood up. I whispered into the phone, "Daylen, are you sure it was her on the plane?" 100% sure, Mama." That meant there were only two options. Neither of them made sense. Neither of them were safe. Then the noise came again. A soft footstep. Slow. Right at the end of the hallway, near the guest room. "Mama, talk to me," he said. "What is happening?" "Someone is in this house," I whispered. "Someone who should not be here." He cursed under his breath. "Mama, get out. Go to a neighbor, now." But my leg would not move. My bad knee felt like it was locked in place. I grabbed my walker, lifting it just enough to shuffle my weight forward. I had to see what was happening. I had to know. I had to make sure this house did not have some stranger in it. I edged down the hallway, gripping the walker so tight my knuckles hurt. The closer I got, the louder my heartbeat became. It felt like it was shaking my whole body. The air felt wrong too. Cold. I swear I could smell something that was not mine. Something like heavy perfume mixed with sweat. When I reached the end of the hallway, I saw it. The guest room door was no longer slightly open. It was wide open. And someone was standing inside. A woman. Back turned to me. Hair braided. Wearing a blue jacket. Zoria's jacket. The same jacket my son said she wore on the flight. I felt my breath catch in my throat. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Zoria." The woman turned her head slightly, just enough for me to see the side of her face. It looked like her. But it did not feel like her. Her movements were too slow. Her posture too stiff. "Mama, who is there?" Daylen asked. I could not answer. I was too focused on the figure in the room. Then she stepped forward. toward me. The hallway light flickered at the same time, making her shadow stretch across the floor like a long arm reaching for me. The woman spoke in a soft voice that sounded like Zarya's, but off. Odessa, you should not be here. Every nerve in my body screamed to run. But before I could take a step back, she smiled. A slow, strange smile. A smile that was nothing like the one she used when she cooked dinner or laughed with Amaya. And in her right hand was a phone. My granddaughter's pink phone case. The one with stickers shaped like stars. My son said my name again, louder this time. Mama. I stared at the woman in front of me. At the jacket. The hair. The familiar face that suddenly felt like a mask. Then she lifted the phone to her lips and whispered, almost sweetly, "She is not coming back." The hallway light buzzed, flickered, and went out. Everything went black. And I felt a hand grab my wrist. Her hand was cold. Not like a normal cold. Not like someone who had been standing in a room with the fan on. This cold felt empty. Like the hand had no warmth inside it at all. I yanked my arm back so fast my bad knee almost buckled. I grabbed the hallway wall with my other hand, trying to keep myself steady as the darkness pressed in around me. The woman spoke again. Her voice floated through the dark like smoke. Calm. Soft. Wrong. Odessa, you are making this harder than it needs to be. Before I could answer, my son's voice shouted through the phone still in my hand. Mama, are you there? What is going on? Answer me. But I could not respond. I was too focused on the shadow in front of me. Too focused on the feeling that this woman was close enough to breathe on me. I blinked, trying to force my eyes to adjust. At first I saw only darkness. Then a shape. Then her face coming into view as the light from the street outside slid through the curtain just enough to touch her cheek. It was Zarya. And yet, it was not. Her eyes looked wrong. Too wide. Too still. Like someone had taken the real woman, drained out her spirit, and left her body standing upright. The cold hand reached out again. I took a step back. Do not touch me, I whispered. She tilted her head slowly, like she was confused that I refused her. Then she smiled again. A smile that stretched a little too far, like her cheek muscles were tight or forced. You should not have found the room empty, she said. Her tone was gentle, almost caring. Like she was explaining something simple to a child. My heart hammered so loud it felt like a drum inside my chest. I tried to speak, but my voice came out as a shaky whisper. Where is my granddaughter? She did not answer. Her eyes blinked too slowly. Her shoulders rose and fell like she was imitating breathing, not actually doing it. My son kept yelling through the phone. Mama, get out of that house now. I wanted to. Lord knows I wanted to. But my legs felt heavy, as if fear had wrapped around them like chains. The woman finally spoke, her voice dropping lower. She is on her way to where she belongs. My stomach flipped. I felt faint. My fingers tightened around the walker. Where she belongs, where is that? She took another step toward me, and the smell hit me again. Perfume. Sweat. But also something else. Something metallic. She lifted Amaya's phone slowly, like she was showing me a prize. The screen lit her face from below, making her features look hollow. Too sharp. Almost stretched. She tapped the screen. A video opened. I leaned forward just an inch, terrified of what I would see. The brightness showed her hand in the frame. The phone pointed down at a suitcase. Inside the suitcase was a pink jacket. Amaya's jacket. Folded neatly. Too neatly. My knees turned to water. Where is she? I croaked. The woman leaned closer. Her whisper brushed my ear like a breeze. Do not worry. She is safe. For now. That last part broke me. For now. It meant danger. It meant time running out. It meant this woman was not here for conversation. I took one shaky breath and forced myself to think clearly. I had worked in nursing homes for years. I had dealt with confused minds, aggressive patients, and people trying to hide pain behind smiles. But this was different. This felt like facing a stranger wearing someone else's skin. I backed up again, inching toward the kitchen. She matched my steps. Slow. Deliberate. Like a predator giving me a head start. My son's voice was still coming through the phone. "Mama, talk to me. Please." But I did not want to speak. The woman was too close. Too alert. If she realized I was stalling, she might rush me. So I kept silent. I backed up one more step. Then something changed in her expression. Her smile faded. Her eyes narrowed. She lifted Amaya's phone and pressed a button on the screen. A small voice filled the air. A recording. "Grandma, are you awake? I want water." My blood froze. It was my granddaughter's voice. Clear. Alive. Scared. The recording continued. "Grandma. Grandma, where are you?" Then it cut off. The woman lowered the phone. Her voice softened again. "She kept calling for you. All night." Something inside me snapped. Fear melted into rage. A deep, wild, protective rage that only a grandmother can feel. I raised my chin. I did not care about the pain in my knee anymore. I did not care about the dark hallway or her cold skin. "You tell me where my granddaughter is right now," I said, my voice shaking but strong. "Or so help me God, I will drag it out of you myself." The woman's expression finally shifted. Not fear. Not surprise. But amusement. She whispered, "You should worry less about where she is. And more about who took her." Lightning cracked in my chest. Who took her? Not what. Who? I opened my mouth to ask another question, but that is when it happened. A noise outside. Tires crunching on gravel. A car pulling into my driveway. The woman turned her head sharply, like an animal scenting danger. Her face twisted for the first time, like she was angry. Truly angry. "No one was supposed to come," she whispered. She stepped back, then disappeared into the guest room so fast I barely saw the movement. The shadows swallowed her whole. My heart slammed inside my chest as headlights flashed through the front window. Someone was here. Someone unexpected. Someone who was not supposed to be involved. The front door handle rattled. Then a familiar voice called out. "Odessa." It was my neighbor Jonah, the retired army mechanic from 2 houses down. "Odessa, I saw your lights go out. You all right?" I wanted to answer him. I wanted to shout for help. But then I heard it. A sound from the guest room. A soft sliding noise. Like a window being opened. The woman was escaping. Running. Fleeing. And if she got away, she would take the truth with her. She would take every answer. She would take the trail that led to my granddaughter. I turned toward the room, my fear burning into determination. I tightened my grip on my walker, ready to move. I had to see where she went. I had to follow the only lead I had. Even if it meant stepping into the dark after her. Everything in my life, everything that mattered, was suddenly on the line. I took one breath, stepped toward the guest room, and pushed the door open. What I saw inside made my whole world tilt. A single clue. A chilling truth. A sign of where she went. And who she really might be. When I pushed that door open, my chest felt tight, like the air itself was warning me to stop. But I stepped inside anyway. I had no choice. The guest room smelled strange. Not like perfume anymore. More like something old, something spoiled, something that had been carried in from somewhere far away. The window was wide open, the curtains blowing like thin ghosts in the warm Georgia night. The screen had been pushed out and was lying on the grass outside. She was gone. But she had left something behind. On the edge of the bed, sitting upright like it had been placed there on purpose, was a photograph. A small one. Old. Edges bent. Color fading. My heart thudded as I picked it up with shaking hands. It was a family picture. A woman holding a baby girl. The woman looked just like Zaria. Too much like her. But younger. Maybe 20. Eyes brighter. Smile softer. The baby was not Amaya. The baby in this picture was pale, with green eyes and a tiny birthmark on her nose. Not my granddaughter at all. I turned the photo over. Someone had written on the back with a blue pen. She was never yours. My breath caught. My throat closed up. She was never yours. The words felt like a punch to the chest. I sat down on the edge of the bed, gripping the photo so hard it bent. Who was this child? Who was this woman? Was this Zaria? Or someone who just looked like her? A twin? A sister? A stranger? Why leave this behind? Why now? Why me? I heard Jonah calling again from the living room. Odessa, you in here? I opened my mouth to answer him, but footsteps behind me made me jump. I turned fast, raising the photo like a shield even though it was just paper. But it was only Jonah. He stood in the doorway, his big frame blocking most of the hall light. His grey beard was messy, and he was wearing a red flannel shirt over pajama pants. He looked at me, then at the open window. Odessa, what in the world is going on? You are shaking like a leaf. I held up the photo. She was here, Jonah. A woman. She looked like my daughter-in-law. Said things that made no sense. She had Amaya's phone. And now she is gone. Jonah took the picture from my hand carefully, like it might break. He stared at the front, then flipped it over. When he read the message, he frowned so hard the wrinkles on his forehead doubled. This is not Zaria, he said. I know what she looks like. I have seen her picking up the mail and driving your car. This is someone else. I swallowed, forcing myself to breathe. My son said she is on his flight. The real her. With Amaya. Jonah lifted his head sharply. Then who was in your house? The same question had been ringing in my mind since she vanished. And I still had no answer that made any sense. We need to call the police, Jonah said. Right now. I nodded. Yes. You are right. He helped me stand and guided me to the living room. But something stopped me just as he reached for his phone. A feeling. A cold, tight feeling in my chest. I turned around slowly. Something in the guest room doorway had caught my eye. The faint glow of a soft blue line on the floor. A reflection. Light bouncing off something. I limped back over, drawn to it. Jonah followed close behind. On the carpet, half hidden under the bed, was a metal bracelet. Small. Child-sized. Pink beads. A tiny charm shaped like a star. My granddaughter's bracelet. The one she never took off. The one I bought her for her birthday. But something was wrong with it. Terribly wrong. It was broken. One side snapped clean off. The beads scattered under the bed like spilled candy. My stomach twisted. My knees gave out, and I dropped to the floor before Jonah could stop me. I picked up the broken bracelet with shaking fingers. My voice came out as a whisper so soft I barely heard it myself. This was on her wrist when I tucked her in. Tonight. She never took it off. Never. Jonah crouched beside me and put a hand on my shoulder. Odessa, listen to me. We are not dealing with something simple here. This is serious. I looked up at him, tears burning in my eyes. Jonah, she was in this house. A woman who looked like Zaria. She moved like her, talked like her, but she was not her. She said things no mother would ever say. She recorded my granddaughter's voice. She left this photo. And now Amaya is gone. Jonah shook his head. We are calling the police. I am not letting you handle this alone. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed in my hand. A new message. From an unknown number. My heart dropped. My hands shook as I opened it. A single sentence was written on the screen. No picture. No emoji. Just words. She is with the one who wants her back. I read it twice, unable to breathe. Then a second message appeared. You took her from us. Now we are taking her home. Jonah saw the messages over my shoulder. His jaw tightened. This is a threat, Odessa. This is kidnapping. We need law enforcement, right now. I could not think. I could not blink. All I could do was stare at those words. She is with the one who wants her back. Wants her back. Like someone believed my granddaughter belonged to them. Like someone had been watching her. Waiting. Planning. My phone buzzed again. A third message. Do not call the police. If you do, you will never see her again. My breath hitched. My world spun. Jonah grabbed my phone. Odessa, they are trying to scare you. We are still calling. We have to. I shook my head fast. No. 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 If we call them, they will run. They will hide her. I cannot risk that. I stood up, wobbling but determined. My voice came out steady, even though my heart was breaking. Jonah, I am going after her. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. You cannot. You can barely walk. I wiped my face. I do not care. She is my granddaughter. My blood. I raised that child with my own hands while her parents worked. I know her smell, her laugh, her footsteps in the hall. Whoever took her thinks I am weak. They think they can scare me. They think they can use my age against me. Jonah stepped closer, voice low. Odessa, this is dangerous. You cannot do this alone. I looked him right in the eyes. Jonah, I am not alone. My voice was firm. Sharper than I expected. Stronger than I felt. My son is in the sky, coming home to help me. You are here beside me. And I have God walking ahead of me. Jonah let out a long breath. Then he nodded slowly. All right. If you are going, I am going with you. But before we could move, something happened that stopped both of us cold. A shadow passed across the window. Slow. Deliberate. Then, 3 loud knocks hit the front door. Deep. Heavy. Exact. Like someone knew we were inside. Jonah stiffened. Who would be knocking at this hour? I felt my body lock up. I could not speak. I could barely breathe. Then a voice came through the door. A familiar voice. One I had known for years. Soft. Sad. Shaking. Odessa. It was Zaria. The real one. Or someone who sounded exactly like her. Open the door. Please. We need to talk. Jonah and I froze. Neither of us moved. Neither of us breathed. That voice. That soft, trembling voice. It sounded exactly like Zaria. Not the strange woman who had been standing in my hallway earlier. Not the cold-voiced stranger who left behind broken clues and a stolen bracelet. This voice was warm. Human. Familiar. But I had learned something tonight. A voice can lie. A face can lie. Even footsteps can lie. Jonah whispered, "Do not open that door." Not yet. I nodded, keeping my eyes on the wooden frame like it might burst open. The voice came again. Odessa, please. I know you are awake. I need you to listen to me. Jonah stepped closer, shoulders tense. Let me talk to her first. But I shook my head. No. If this really was my daughter-in-law, I needed to hear her. If it was not, I needed to know that too. I swallowed hard and called out. Say your name. A soft gasp came from the other side. Then. It is me. It is Zaria. Please. Let me in. Jonah raised a hand, warning me to stay put. He walked slowly to the door, peeking through the small glass panel on the side. His eyes widened. It is her. Looks like her, at least. Looks like her. Those words punched my stomach. I dragged my bad leg across the carpet and stood beside him, leaning heavily on my walker. I looked through the glass. And there she was. Zarya. Her real face. Her soft brown skin, her deep-set eyes, her long braids. She had on jeans and a loose grey sweater. No blue jacket. No strange smile. No coldness in her eyes. She looked exhausted. Broken. Scared. Like she had been crying for hours. Jonah whispered, "What do you want to do?" I took a slow breath. Open the door. But I stand back. If she tries anything, you grab her. He nodded and unlocked the door. As soon as it cracked open, Zarya stumbled inside, clutching her chest. Her eyes found me immediately. And she broke. Odessa. She threw her arms around me and sobbed into my shoulder. Her whole body trembled. This was no act. This was real fear. Real pain. Real panic. She held on to me like she was afraid I would disappear. I felt her tears soak into my shirt. And for a moment, despite everything, I wrapped my arms around her. She felt warm. Alive. Not cold like the imposter. Jonah shut the door behind her. "Lock it," I whispered. He did. When Zarya finally pulled back, her face was streaked with tears. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "Odessa, someone has taken my baby." My throat tightened. "You are telling me," I whispered, "that you do not have Amaya?" She shook her head slowly. "No. I have been looking for her all evening." Her voice broke again. "And when I could not find her anywhere, I went to your house. I knocked. I waited. But nobody answered. So I drove around the block, hoping maybe you were outside or with a neighbor." Jonah and I exchanged a look. "You were not here earlier?" I asked her slowly. "No." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I have not been home since 3 this afternoon. I left work early because Amaya's school called. They said her grandmother had already picked her up." The room tilted. My knees nearly buckled. What grandmother? There was only one grandmother registered at that school. Me. "Odessa," she whispered. "Someone signed your name." A cold wave rolled over my back. Jonah stepped forward. "Wait. Are you saying a stranger picked up your child from school using Odessa's name?" Zarya nodded hard. "Yes. And when I got there, they showed me the sign-out sheet. And..." She sniffed. "It was my handwriting." My jaw dropped. "Your handwriting, but you did not write it." "No." She looked at me with terrified eyes. "Odessa, someone is copying us." A sharp pain shot through my stomach. Copying us. Not pretending. Not disguising. Copying. Like that woman earlier. The one who looked like her. Moved like her. Smiled like her but wrong. Zarya continued. "When I could not find her, I called my mom, my sisters, her friends' parents. Nobody knew anything." I whispered. "My son saw you on his flight." Zarya blinked. "What? You are on a flight right now. To Los Angeles. He saw you with Amaya." Her face twisted with confusion. I have not been on a plane in months. And Amaya." Her voice cracked. "I do not know where she is." The weight of that truth hit me in the chest. It was not Zarya on that plane. It was not Zarya in my house. It was not Zarya taking Amaya. Someone was wearing her face. Pretending to be her. Someone who looked identical. But was not her at all. Jonah asked. "Did you see anyone suspicious before this happened?" "Yes." Her answer was immediate. My eyes narrowed. "Who?" Zarya wiped her face again. Her voice dropped to a whisper. 2 days ago, at the gas station, a woman walked up to me. She looked like me. Exactly like me. She wore my hairstyle. My jacket. Even the same earrings. She came close and just stared at me. "Why did you not tell us?" I asked, voice cracking with frustration. Zarya shook her head. "I thought it was a prank. A look-alike. A coincidence. I thought maybe I was tired." maybe seeing things. She trembled harder. Until today. When Amaya disappeared. And the school said you picked her up. But I know you did not. I know it was her. The woman who looks like me. My chest tightened. Someone with her exact face. Someone who used her name. Someone who fooled everyone. Jonah crossed his arms. This sounds like someone is stalking your family. Planning this. Studying you. Enough to copy clothes, handwriting, habits, patterns. Zarya nodded. There is more. She reached into her purse with shaking hands and pulled out a small folded paper. She handed it to me. I opened it. My stomach dropped. It was a photo. Another old photo, worn at the edges. I recognized the woman in it instantly. The same woman from the picture left on my guest bed. The same woman who looked like Zarya. Except in this photo. She was standing in front of a large sign. The sign said, Cole Family Home for Children. Atlanta, Georgia. Cole. My last name. My throat went dry. Zarya whispered. Odessa. Who is she? Do you know her? Do you know why someone with your name took her? I stared at the sign. At the worn building behind her. At the familiar name. My family's name. Memories stirred. Old ones. Dark ones. Things I had tried to bury years ago. Jonah looked at me sharply. Odessa. What is it? Do you recognize her? I swallowed. Hard. Because I did. I knew that place. I knew that sign. I knew the history behind the Cole Family Home for Children. And I knew exactly where this nightmare had begun. Jonah stepped closer. Odessa. Talk to us. My voice came out in a whisper. Barely there. She was one of mine. The room felt heavier the moment those words left my mouth. Jonah stared at me like I had spoken in another language. Zarya's hands trembled as she held onto the back of a chair, her breath shallow and fast. One of yours. What does that mean? Who is she? I sank slowly into my armchair, my knee screaming, my hands shaking. The memories were old. Dusted over. Buried deep. But they came back now like a storm breaking through a locked door. I closed my eyes and whispered. Before I had my son. Before I married Elias. I worked at the Cole Family Home for Children. My family owned it. My parents ran it. And before I was old enough to understand anything about fairness or cruelty, I lived there too. Silence filled the room. Zarya swallowed hard. You lived in an orphanage. I nodded. Yes. I was never adopted. My parents kept me there as a helper, a caretaker, a child raising children, cooking meals, changing diapers, comforting little ones who cried for mothers who never came back. My eyes burned. I took a shaky breath. I worked there until it shut down. By force. Jonah stepped closer. Why was it shut down? Because things were happening there, I whispered. Bad things. Children going missing. Paperwork being changed. Names switched. Birth records altered. A mess long before the state stepped in. Zarya gasped softly. And the woman in the picture. I opened my eyes and looked directly at her. She came to the home when she was a child. Maybe 7. Maybe 8. I do not know her exact age. She was quiet. Too quiet. Watched everyone. Mimicked the other girls. Copied their handwriting. Their voices. Their clothes. Jonah and Zarya exchanged a tense look. A mimic, Jonah muttered. Exactly. I nodded slowly. She was a copycat even then. Some children imitate for fun. But she imitated to survive. To disappear. To hide inside other children's identities. I swallowed. Once, she copied me so perfectly. The staff thought I had filled out a form I had never even seen. Zarya whispered. Do you remember her name? I tightened my fingers around the photo. Her name changed often, but the last name she used before the state shut the home down was Marin. As soon as I said it, the air in the room felt colder. Zoria's lips parted in shock. Jonah muttered the name under his breath like it tasted wrong. Marin. I nodded. Yes. Marin was brilliant. Unnervingly smart. She watched people like a scientist. She could mimic voices so well that even I got confused. For a long time, she did not speak at all. And when she finally did, she used someone else's voice. Zoria's hands covered her mouth. You think she came back? I looked down at the broken bracelet in my hand. At the photo she left. At the messages she sent. She is not thinking, I said quietly. She is planning. Jonah crossed his arms. Why now? What does she want with your granddaughter? I stared into space, the truth hardening inside me like stone. Marin always wanted a family. Not love. Not warmth. She wanted the structure. The identity. She wanted to belong somewhere. Even if she had to steal the life to get it. And I was the last person who ever told her no. The last one she fixated on. Jonah sat down across from me. Odessa. You said she was one of yours. What do you mean by that? I closed my eyes again. When the state shut the home down, I was interviewed for days. They asked me names, faces, dates. But Marin had erased herself from the records. She had forged signatures, moved files, destroyed her birth documents. There was no proof she had ever been there at all. Except me. I was the only one who remembered the way she looked. The way she copied other children while staring at me from across the room. And right before they moved us all out, she disappeared. No one found her. Not a trace. Zoria took a step back, her voice shaking. Are you telling me that my daughter is with someone who has been watching you for decades? I felt tears fill my eyes. Yes. Someone who studied me as a child. Someone who wants what I have. Someone who thinks Amaya should belong to her. Jonah cursed under his breath. This is worse than a kidnapping. This is obsession. Then Zoria whispered something that froze my blood. 2 days ago. At the gas station. When I saw the woman who looked like me. She said something. I lifted my head. What did she say? Zoria's voice trembled. She leaned close to me and whispered. You do not deserve the life you have. You stole it. My breath caught. Stole it. Stole what? Zoria continued. And then she said, I am taking it all back. A chill ran through my whole body. Jonah stepped forward. She is coming after your family. Piece by piece. Before I could respond, my phone suddenly buzzed again. A new message. I opened it slowly. My hands shook. A photo appeared on the screen. My heart stopped. It was Amaya. Alive. Sitting in the back seat of a car. Seat belt on. Tears on her cheeks. Her eyes red like she had been crying for hours. And behind her, in the driver's seat, was a face that made the world tilt sideways. Not Zoria. Not exactly. But close enough to twist my stomach. The same braids. The same cheeks. But eyes too wild. Smile too sharp. A perfect copy. But the soul wrong as poison. A text appeared below the photo. She looks more like me than she ever looked like you. Another message came immediately after. If you want her back, come alone. You know where to find me. I stared at the screen, breath frozen in my lungs. Jonah stepped closer. Where, Odessa? Where does she want you to go? My voice trembled as I whispered the answer. The place where it all started. The abandoned Cole family home for children. When I said the words out loud, the whole house went silent. Even the old refrigerator seemed to stop humming. The abandoned Cole family home for children. Zoria grabbed my arm. Odessa, You are not going there alone. I shook my head. The message said if I bring anyone, we may never see her again. Jonah paced back and forth, his jaw clenched tight. This is a trap. She wants you cornered. I know. But what choice do I have? My voice cracked. My granddaughter is out there, scared, crying, calling for me. I am going. Zarya stepped in front of me, tears streaking her face. You are not strong enough to confront someone like this alone. She is dangerous. She is obsessed. She is not normal, Odessa. I looked straight at her. Neither am I. When it comes to protecting a child I love. Jonah let out a deep breath. Then he grabbed his keys. You may have to walk through the front door alone, but I am driving you there. I will park back far where she cannot see me. If something goes wrong, you shout. I am coming in whether she likes it or not. I hesitated. My heart was torn in two. The message was clear. Come alone. But if I went alone, and something happened to me, Amaya might be lost forever. After a long moment, I nodded. All right. Drive me. But you stay in that truck unless you hear me scream. Zarya held onto my hand desperately. Odessa, please bring her home. She is my baby. I squeezed her fingers. I will. But you stay here in case she messages again. Text me anything she sends. Anything she says. Zarya nodded, tears falling again. Jonah helped me put on my coat and handed me my walker. But I pushed it away. I cannot walk in there with a walker. I will use the cane instead. He stared at me. You sure? I nodded. Yes. And then we left. The night air was cold. Too cold for Georgia. It felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Jonah's old truck rumbled as he backed out of my driveway. His hands gripped the wheel tight, like he was preparing for a fight. We drove through the quiet streets, passing houses with warm lights glowing in the windows. Families resting. Mothers tucking in children. People laughing at late-night movies. And here I was, heading into the dark to face a ghost from my childhood. It took 20 minutes to reach the old property. But every minute felt like 5. The building was exactly where it had always been. Off a narrow road beside an overgrown field, hidden between tall trees. When I saw it, my breath caught. The home looked worse than I remembered. The roof sagged in the middle. The paint had peeled off the walls. Most of the windows were broken. The porch railings hung loose, like old bones. It looked dead. Forgotten. But inside it was the person who had been haunting my life since childhood. Marin. The copycat. The mimic. The little girl who never belonged anywhere. So she tried to steal belonging from others. Jonah parked far back, just like we planned. He killed the engine and turned to me. Odessa, if she tries anything, I will scream. You come running. He nodded, his jaw tight. I climbed out slowly, my knees stiff but ready. I held my cane tight and took one long breath. This was not just a rescue. This was a reckoning. A confrontation decades in the making. As I walked toward the home, dry leaves crunched under my feet. The moon shone over the broken roof, casting strange shadows on the peeling walls. Every step felt heavier than the last. My breath fogged in the cold air. My pulse thudded in my ears. When I reached the front door, I paused. It was slightly open. Just a crack. Like someone had pushed it and walked in without looking back. I pushed it wider, and the door creaked like it had not been moved in years. Inside, the air was thick with dust. The hallways were dark. The silence felt alive. And then I heard it. A child's cry. Soft. Muffled. Terrified. My heart seized. Amaya. I stepped inside quickly, my cane tapping the old wood floor. The cry came again, from deeper down the hallway. I followed it. Past the old playroom door. Past the empty cafeteria. Past the old office where I used to clean the desks and stack folders. Everything looked the same. Frozen in time. I turned a corner. And froze. There she was. Standing in the center of the dusty hallway. Marin. Or what was left of her. She wore Zaria's face. Zaria's hair. Zaria's height. But her eyes. They were not Zaria's. They were cold. Empty. Flat. She smiled slowly. You came alone. Good. I gripped my cane tighter. Where is my granddaughter? Her smile stretched wider. She is safe. For now. Just like I promised. I stepped forward. You let her go. You give her back to me right now. She tilted her head, studying me. Just like she used to do as a child. It has been so long, Odessa. So long since you left me behind. So long since you let them shut this place down. I lost everything that day. Her voice trembled. You had a son. A family. A life. And what did I get? Nothing. I swallowed. That was not my fault. You know that. Oh, but it was. Her voice sharpened. You were the one they listened to. You were the one the state took seriously. You were the one who remembered my face. My voice. My habits. You are the reason they came looking for me. You are the reason I had to run. My breath shook. I had been a scared young girl then. I had never meant to hurt her. I whispered. Marin. I never wanted to harm you. You were a child. I was a child. She snapped. Not yours. Not theirs. Not anybody's. I shook my head. Where is Amaya? Her face softened unervingly. She is perfect, Odessa. So much like me. Quiet. Observant. She will be a Cole. A real one. My heart stopped. A Cole. What do you mean? Marin stepped closer. Her voice dripping with something dark. This family owes me a life. I am taking one. I raised the cane. You are not taking my granddaughter anywhere. Her smile dropped. Her eyes hardened. Then she whispered. You cannot stop me. Not then. Not now. Before I could step back, she moved. Fast. Too fast. And from the back of the hallway, a small voice cried out. Grandma. My whole body froze. That was Amaya. Close. Terrified. I swung the cane forward. But Marin reached for me. Her expression twisting into pure rage. Then everything happened at once. A door at the end of the hallway slammed open. A flashlight beam cut through the dark. And a man's deep voice shouted. Mama. It was my son. Daylen. He had come back early. He had run inside the moment he saw movement. Marin whipped around. Her eyes wild. Her voice sharp like broken glass. No. Not him. Not now. She reached toward the back room. Toward my granddaughter. Toward the child I loved more than anything. I screamed. No. And then the world exploded into motion. My son rushing forward. Marin lunging for the door. Amaya crying. My cane raised. And everything spiraled into the moment that would change everything forever. Everything happened so fast that for a moment, all I saw were shadows moving in front of me. My son's flashlight cut through the darkness. Marin's face twisted into something wild. And behind her, through the barely open door, I saw the terrified eyes of my granddaughter. My heart took over. Not my fear. Not my age. Not my pain. Just my heart. I lunged forward. My bad knee screamed, but I did not stop. I swung my cane with every ounce of strength I had left. The wood cracked against Marin's arm. She hissed and stumbled back, her eyes flashing with anger. Daylen rushed forward, grabbing her by the shoulders. But Marin moved like smoke. Slipping, twisting, fighting with a strength that seemed impossible for someone her size. Let her go. Daylen shouted as they struggled. Marin's gaze snapped toward him. her voice full of fury. You took my daughter. She was mine first. Daughter. The word rang in the air like a warning bell. But I had no time to process it. She shoved my son backward and lunged toward the small room, where Amaya was sobbing. Jonah burst through the front door at that exact moment, his flashlight sweeping the hallway. He saw Marin reaching for my granddaughter and shouted, Odessa, get her. My heart launched itself forward. I would have thrown myself into fire for that child. I grabbed Marin's shoulder. She spun on me, her face inches from mine. You owe me, she whispered. You owe me a life. I stared into her hollow eyes. No, Marin. You take things because you never learned how to accept love. But tonight is where it ends. Her expression twisted. She raised her hand to strike. But Jonah was faster. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and lifted her clean off the floor. She screamed. A sound not normal, not human. Thrashing and fighting like a wild animal. Let me go. She clawed at him, but he held on tight. Daylen ran into the back room and scooped up Amaya. She wrapped her arms around his neck, crying into his shoulder. Her tiny fingers clutched at his uniform like she was afraid he would disappear. I limped toward them and touched her back. Baby. Grandma is here. I am right here. She turned and buried her face against me. I held her tighter than I had ever held anything in my life. Behind me, Marin kept screaming, kicking, fighting. But she was trapped in Jonah's hold. Then the sirens hit. Loud. Rumbling through the old building. Blue lights flashed through the broken windows as police swarmed in. Zarya must have called them. Because she came running in right behind them. Tears already falling. Her legs shaking as she sprinted down the hallway. She grabbed Amaya from my arms, hugging her so tight the girl squeaked. Mama, I tried to scream for you. I know, baby. I know. You are safe now. You are safe. Officers pinned Marin to the ground. She did not fight anymore. Her body went still. Her eyes turned empty. Hollow. Almost peaceful. One officer lifted her by the arms. She stared at me as they pulled her away. Her voice was quiet. Almost calm. You were supposed to pick me. You were supposed to save me. My heart cracked for her. For the little girl she used to be. For the broken woman she became. But I said softly. I tried, Marin. But you walked away before I ever could. Her eyes flickered. Just once. With something that looked like regret. Then they took her outside. Silence dropped around us. Heavy. Cold. Daylen held Amaya close, whispering to her. Zarya held on to her daughter like she was holding a second chance. Jonah leaned against the wall, breathing hard but steady. And I stood in the middle of the hallway. The same hallway I had walked 1,000 times as a child. And felt something deep inside me finally unlock. The ghosts of my past had been chasing me for decades. Tonight, I finally turned around and faced them. And I won. Not with violence. Not with cruelty. But with love. With courage. With the kind of strength that grows in the bones of a grandmother. A paramedic came over, checking my arm where Marin had grabbed me. Ma'am, you should get looked at. I shook my head gently. I am all right. My family is safe. And that was all that mattered. When we stepped outside, the sun was rising. Pink and gold on the horizon. A new day. A new beginning. Daylen put his arm around me. Mama. You saved us. I looked at him. My son. The boy I raised alone. The man who ran through fire for his daughter. No, I said softly. We saved each other. Zarya wiped her eyes and whispered. Odessa. Thank you. I smiled at her. We are family. We stand together. Always. Amaya reached her tiny hand toward me. Grandma, can we go home now? I kissed her forehead. Yes, baby. We are going home. As we walked toward Jonah's truck, he patted my shoulder and said, "Odessa, you are the strongest woman I know." I smiled. Maybe I was. Or maybe I had just stopped being afraid of the shadows behind me. At the truck door, I turned back one last time and looked at the old home. The place where so much pain was born. Where so many secrets were buried. Where Marin learned to imitate everyone except the one person who could have saved her. Herself. Then the police shut the door of their car. Marin disappeared behind tinted glass. And the past finally let go of me. I whispered. It is done. It is over. My family is safe. And we drove away into the morning light. Thank you for watching this emotional story to the very end. If you felt something in your heart today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another powerful story. And drop a comment telling us where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life.